Coach, the Tennessee coach stated that you're already a Final Four team. Would you agree with that statement?
No. But what coach would say that? I mean, I in terms of my own team, I know all of the things we need to grow in. But I do think we see ourselves as that Final Four team. And we always say that you can't outperform your self-image. You have to believe in who you are and what you're going to earn. And I do believe we believe that. Are we playing at that level consistently yet? Not yet. But I do think we see ourselves as a national championship contender, and we got to go earn that.
Did you kind of foresee this growth of Gabriella and for her to be able to get to where she is now? And how close is she to kind of her ceiling at the college level, do you think?
Well, I would never want to put a ceiling on anyone. I think she's somebody that defies ceilings anyway. I mean, she came in here as an undersized post player that hardly had any Power 5 at that time offers going into her senior year. And then what did she do? She just became a McDonald's All-American, and she just, found a way. She was co-MVP of that McDonald's game with Kiki. And then she came into us, and she just finds warrior ways to contribute and make winning plays. And the first year it looked like cutting and running fast break and playing the 4 for us a lot and just doing all the dirty work kinds of things. And then each year you've seen her add to her toolbox. And the thing that doesn't show up as much is that when you think about the most pressurized moments and you trace back, Gabs always shows up. She's very comfortable in the pressure. She knows how to play with poise and calm and know exactly what the team needs from her in those moments. That's a basketball IQ, competitive greatness quality that I think just brings the skill work even to another level. But the reality is she just puts a ton of time in the gym. And so she has just been so intentional. And another big Coach Wooden thing about activity without achievement is it just doesn't do much. But every time she walks in the gym, it's with intention. And so you see this growth because she's so intentional with her work. But I would never put a ceiling on Gabs because she just keeps getting better and better and finding new ways to make winning plays.
Hi, Coach.
There.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sean had a big game, had 11 assists and only 1 turnover. And I saw you on the All Smoke podcast when you talked about Earl Watson and unselfish player. And you talked about how you instill that in a player as a coach, where they're just unselfish but still impact the score without scoring.
Well, I wish I could take credit for that, but I can't. Those are choices that players of great character make for the sake of their team. And Charlize has just been that person. Even last year, Charlize was making an incredible impact on our team, and she never was able to play a game. And I think when you have a selfless, committed nature in your leadership, it might look different. Like she would have rather been playing last year, but she knew without a shadow of a doubt that she was going to find ways to contribute and impact. And she earned so much trust. But her basketball IQ and her feel for the game is just elite, and she's just able to sense spacing, and we've really been challenging her to be tighter with the ball, and just really, she has great vision all the time, but really tightening that handle, really using ball fakes, all the little things, not to have any fumbles, any inside passes, and she's just been doing a great job of growing to the next level of that. But it's her selflessness, her character, her hard work. It just makes such a difference for us, and I'm really happy for her because everybody she's sort of the glue. Like if you ask everyone on our team, like who has the pulse, who's the one that can go to any person on any given day and try to make things better for them, and they're going to say Charlize. And so it's just really fun to see her do that. But another person I want to really point out is Lauren Betts. Lauren Betts has an absolute thankless job. Draw triple teams every single time. Get fouled before you even touch the ball every single time. And I'm not being critical of the officials. I think that's a hard game to call. But Lauren has to sacrifice a lot. And I just made a big deal in the locker room about don't listen to anybody that talks about anything other than you make winning plays for our team. The way she's able to switch and guard, the way she alters shots, the way she rebounds, the way she set screens for some of those players, especially Kiki, to get her driving lanes, and they don't want to leave off of her, so other people benefit. But bottom line is, Lauren played a selfless, sacrificial, winning game. And I want to really point that out as well.
Hi, Coach. With the kind of like momentary lack of depth in the post that you guys are having due to injury, wondering if you could talk about what the return of those players will mean for Lauren's game specifically. Like thinking about, how great Angela has been, but kind of what you guys are missing from them and how it'll free her up.
I think Sienna is going to be huge for us when she comes back. And both her, I think she's a little bit ahead of Tamia. But they're both really close, and so I'm hopeful that it'll happen quickly. But I think you're absolutely right. Our rotations and sort of how we need to play in the post, we need to be able to move pieces around a little bit better, and we need to be able to put Lauren on the move more and let her go ahead and step out some instead of just every time, just the banging that she has to put up with, really. And I think, sharing the load that, I do think Angela is doing better and better at having that be a real place of pride in her game, is sort of getting those post seals. And not just standing on the perimeter, as good as she is at that as well in terms of her three-point shot. But I think Sienna especially, she's a power player. She also is a great passer from the high post. She's very versatile. She's much different kind of player than Lauren. But I think her ability to play some of the power game, in addition to her other skill sets, will be a help to Lauren.
Coach, I know Janiyah finished with 25 tonight, but going into this, did you have kind of more of a sense of how to game plan for her, and especially in the second quarter, you can contain her more? Yeah,
we obviously know she's a really strong attack right kind of player, and when she's able to get to her right hand, she's so explosive, and and she works extremely hard. There's been, that's something, I actually wrote her a card today, and we gave her her Final Four ring and some of her memorabilia, and in the card that I wrote to her, I just said, one of the things I'm always going to appreciate about you is that how hard you always worked on her game. And to see her, shoot the ball the way she did today. This is the best three-point shooting night maybe she's had of her career. And she works at that. And so, but I did think nothing she did surprised us because we've had that time with her, but she's a great player, explosive. It's great to see her healthy out there. And that's been something that she's wanted to have, that kind of style, and she's getting it, and she's taking advantage of it.
Coach, I kind of wanted to ask about your mindset. Last year, opposing defense has really focused on Lauren Betts, but now you have multiple shooters to help out. How is that taking stress and relief off of your shoulders?
Well, just having a really good team, having great players takes stress off my shoulders. I think that, one of my biggest, I didn't think I would be saying this right now, but we've actually, and this really is a credit to Lauren, but we've gotten everybody else going actually quicker than I thought. And now I want to get Lauren in a better rhythm. The SEC teams that we've played, it's really interesting. I didn't think that they were allowed to play that physical in the NCAA tournament. And we played Ole Miss last year. We played some very physical teams, but Oklahoma, Texas, and now Tennessee, I don't know. When I went back and watched the films, I'm just like, I do not think any NCAA tournament game was called that way. And we got to figure out a way to free her up more, and we need to get her in a better rhythm. But our balance is amazing, but we need everybody, and Lauren has earned the right. I want to get her into a real confident rhythm. I think she's sort of had to be the sacrificial lamb in some ways, and to get some of those other people going. And I actually met with her yesterday, and I said, hey, long term, that's going to be really good for all of us. Because think about what happened in the Final Four. We were a one-hit wonder, and not everybody else didn't have the confidence of how they were going to help our team make plays. And so I think we're ahead of schedule of where I thought I would be in terms of that starting to gel. But I got to get Lauren in a really confident rhythm, and I got to help her get some she's doing great in terms of how she's shooting the ball from the perimeter, but we need to get her some easier opportunities. And right now, everything she has is so difficult, and I got to do a better job of helping her get freed up for that. That's on me.
Coach, you obviously have two great playmakers in Kiki and Charlize, but going back to Gabriella, when you have another player like that she's been able to get reps at point guard, be a playmaker. You know, how have you seen that progression, that overall progression with her, and what does that do for your offense?
Yeah, I just really don't care what the position you play. I want you to be an all-around great guard. You know, I want us to be versatile, and it's like, I don't care if you're the post player or you're the point guard, I want you to make right basketball plays. And I want you to be confident, and I want you to read the defense, and I think that's where, you know, I think we play 4 guards most of the time. And so whether you start the offense or you get it later, or, you know, the reality is that spacing is really important to us, versatility is really important to us, reading the defense is really important to us. And so Gabs does that great. Just call her whatever position you want. She's a playmaker.
Coach, can you talk about just Lauren Betts being the sacrificial lamb? Like, is that something that she understands?
I think it's hard. Like, I don't think this is easy at all. I mean, you can see it on her face, you know. She's struggling a little bit with that. And, you know, but I don't care what the numbers or whatever say. There's a reason she's having to struggle with that, because she has earned the respect of every team in this entire country. I mean, period. There's a reason she's the only college player invited to the national team trials. There's a reason she's earned that. And as a result, every scouting report starts with her. And they got to do something crazy, whether it's send 3 people, whether it be grab her jersey every time, wrap her one arm. She's going up one-handed half the time because everybody's wrapping her. And, you know, so I'm not, you know, I don't sugarcoat it. It's not been easy. It's hard. It's really, really hard. It's a huge compliment to her. It's gonna long-term help her go to another level. Long-term, we call it the edge. And the edge is when your talent is not enough and it runs out, and you are forced to develop a new level of discipline and skill to reach your potential. And she's been really pushed to her edge. And it's hard because, you know, she long-term, I think she's gonna look back and go, wow, I'm not sure I would have found these other areas that I'm able to attack in, or other ways to counter this if I hadn't have gone through that. But when you're in the midst of it, it's really hard, and she's in the midst of it.
So, Coach, you got a loaded senior group here. You shot 50, 52, 57, 76. We had 50 points in the paint, 12 turnovers. I'm going to ask you to be a coach right now. What are we working on the last few weeks of non-conference play before we hit that Big Ten? How are we improving?
Toughness and discipline. Toughness and discipline. And it might look different against different teams, but we lost, and I would even say connectivity. We lost to Texas because we weren't disciplined to execute the scouting report. We weren't the aggressors. We weren't the tougher, more together team. And we need a sense of discipline, of knowing what we can count on and how we play to our identity. We let them play to theirs, and we didn't ever get to play into ours. And so that's what it's going to be. It's asserting our will. It's solidifying who we are. And it's building discipline and togetherness and connectivity every single day.
You touched on just the physicality earlier and how hard these SEC teams have been playing against you. And it seemed like in the third quarter especially that really ramped up. And maybe there's some calls that you wanted that you didn't get. I mean, just how do you respond to that? And is ball movement like a big part of that as well?
Well, yeah, and with both those teams, actually all 3 of the teams that we just played, Texas, Duke, and now Tennessee, it's easier to say that than do that because they're all out into the passing lanes. Like, they're trapping, they're denying everything one pass away, and they're really trying to push Lauren out of her spots, and so it really push our guards further away from the basket, so those entry passes are more difficult. So, you know, you either, in order to really create great post speed angles, you either got to create great pick and roll reads where you force them to come and then adjust to the pick and roll from the backside, from the strong side. Are they going to switch? Are they going to trap? Or you got to create ball reversal. And I thought we did that when we broke the press a couple times. We were able to swing it through the trail. I thought we were able to do that. We really struggled against with Texas, that exact same thing. We just could not get ball reversal enough to take advantage of how the post was being played. And so that's something that we're going to have to grow through. And I thought we have been making better strides. But our players, they had I think I shared this in media after Duke, they had in between the 2 games, They had a players-only meeting and talking about how they needed to find ways to execute. And they came out and said, hey, we want to run Bruin our secondary break like 90% of the time. And we promise we will make it work. And I'm like, when you have a team that comes together and have decided something like that, as a coach, you're like, yes, because they will make that work, because they have owned that decision. And I think that was a turning point for us. I think it wasn't, us spoon-feeding something to them. It was them grabbing something in a way that they wanted to play. And I think that was a mental shift that we really needed.
Coach, a lot of questions about Gabriella, even through the whole season so far. But for you, having a player who's gone from role player type role on the team to now leading the team and scoring every other game pretty much, for you to see her get a standing ovation in Poly Pavilion, what does that mean for you as a coach?
Well, for Gabs you're talking about, right? Yeah, I think the reality is that you're talking about one of our few California kids. You're talking about a family who has given so much, not just Gabs, but obviously Jaime, but even Marcos, her brother. I always tell the family that he's my favorite. But the reality is that family has invested so much in this UCLA community. And so then to see them appreciate her work and her effort and her mentality, for me as a coach, I love every second. I can't imagine what it's like as a parent. Like, how cool is that? But I think, when you serve selflessly and you give passionately, it comes back to you tenfold. And I think Gabs is experiencing that. Anybody else? Oh, here we go. Yeah.
I think Gab's evolving skill set will translate. I don't know what I think about next year, but to the next level.
Well, I'm definitely getting a lot of calls. I think that she's going to have opportunities. There's a lot of players in the WNBA that you can talk about that are like the glues to their team. I think about like the Thorntons, Valkyrie's, she got hurt at the end, but what she did. I think it's Bridget Carlton, is that right, for the Lynx? Some of those players, there's some really good blueprints of how to make a really long career for yourself playing that way in the league. So, I think what Gabs has proven is that she finds a way to help teams win, and she gets better every year. So what WNBA team doesn't want that? So, and appreciate you guys being here. It's huge for us, and so thank you guys for what you're doing and for telling our stories.
Thank you.